funny to what we would be expecting the monthly thing to be, and then they've had to go back through, and it took them about 3 months to sort it all out, get all the invoices back, pay them properly, charge the commissioners, all of that kind of thing. It was a bit of a problem.
Got it.
Which is now fixed. So that's why it looked like we didn't use hardly any, and then it's like 600% increases, but it's not. And the other thing as well is that just the way that when I talk about the cyclical is, if you're doing this, I think is done monthly, but some things they only invoice you every 3 months or whatever. So sometimes you don't get any. You sort of get sort of peaks and troughs. It's not like a constant amount each month. And so if you're looking at a particular month or a quarter, it could look higher or lower than the previous one just because of the way the invoicing is done.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just have a general system question. So does that mean like all the home care company actually got the physical product from the hospital, or they go through a different channel?
No, so they get it directly from, I think, the manufacturer or the wholesaler.
But they need the prescription from the hospital.
Yes, the prescription comes from the hospital. So we write the prescription, and then they would order whatever they need and then deliver it to the patient.
Yeah.
And the reason for doing that is that if we supplied it to them, then that, for IVIG it doesn't matter, but for other drugs, you then lose the advantage of a VAT-free route. If you supply the drug from the hospital to a home care company, then there's no VAT saving.
What does that mean? VAT?
Oh, so it's value-added tax. So it's like a 20% tax.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So the home care company doesn't. If you supply something via home care or like an outsourced pharmacy, you don't have to pay the tax on it. But there is no tax on a blood product, so it's irrelevant for IVIG. But for every other part of home care, that's why we use it. Obviously, for IVIG and subcut, we use it because it's more convenient for the patient and for us as well. We can't be delivering products from our hospital straight to the patient's house. We did try and do it at the beginning before we had a home care company set up, almost, just using hospital transport, but people are all over the country, so it's a bit difficult to do that.
Yeah, I can imagine that, especially.
And obviously you've got nursing, and they can do training and all that kind of thing, which we weren't able to offer properly before. So.
Yeah. So does that mean the home care company negotiate with CMU, or only the trust negotiate with CMU at this point?
Only the trust, so they would pay the same price that's on the framework.
Got it.
And the allocations are. So we would do our allocation, including what we're going to use for home care, and then they would take, in effect, our allocation for that bit from the company. I see.
So most of the time it's still up to the hospital to report the numbers and everything.
Yes, yeah. So that's what we're doing at the moment. Because of the shortages, we're having to provide... So what you used to do is you used to liaise directly with the CMU at the beginning of the year and say, this is what I'm going to use for the following, the coming year. And then if you needed to adjust it in year, you would contact the CMU and negotiate directly. Then they removed that and said, we don't want you to come through the CMU. We want you to just go straight to the company. And, if you need extra or less or whatever, just talk to them directly. And now, because we've got this shortage, we're going back to what we had before, which is every month telling them how many patients we have treated in the previous 2 weeks, acute patients, and how many chronic patients are going to be coming in the next month. And that's how much we need. And then they go away and say, every trust is doing that. And now have we actually got enough to give everybody what they want, or do we need to shift stuff around a bit? So we've had to go back. We've gone from a yearly thing to a monthly thing at the moment, which is yeah, it's fine, but it just takes a bit of time to do it every month.
That certainly makes sense, yeah. So that's pretty much it about my question for IG. But do you mind if I ask you some quick questions about, I'm not sure if you're familiar with some of the new treatment for MG patients. My general question is more about, so for MG patient, there's a few treatment options like IVIG, plasmapheresis, Solaris, which is a new drug that's going to come out. Have you ever heard any pricing issues with different treatments? Also steroids, which is probably the cheapest option there.
Have I had any issues with pricing?
Which type is very expensive and that's why they.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Dolores is definitely the most expensive of those things. So.
Yeah.
So we use that for other indications already. But I thought that had been rejected by NICE because the company didn't submit any evidence to them. I think that's what happened with that one. So you get a slot with NICE for them to review your product, and if you don't submit anything by whatever deadline is, then it's terminated. The appraisal gets terminated, the process. I think that's what happened with that one.
Got it.
Whether they didn't have enough evidence or they're going to come back later, I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're planning on launching next year.
Yeah. So for something like that, it would definitely have to go through NICE first before we would be able to use it, because I know how much that costs. So unless there was a different price for MG versus what we're paying for I can't even say AHUS and PNA. Then yeah. And then in terms of the other thing, obviously IVIG, the next most expensive would be IVIG, which is why we are now using rituximab in some patients. Well, we were before COVID hit. But then there's been a reluctance to use that because of the B cell depletion and timing it around the vaccine and all that kind of thing. So we probably use less of that than we would have normally done. But yeah, I think anything to reduce the use of IVIG is probably a good thing, as long as it's cost effective.
Right, yeah, that certainly makes sense, because UK constantly experience some unstable IG supply issues.
Yeah.
So I know like the total pricing might be sensitive, or you might not have a general knowledge about this, but do you mind giving me like a price range for if like a annual treatment for IVIG? What is like the range in UK around for a single patient?
I'd say it depends what we're treating, but let's say it's like a neurology patient, so like a proper treatment dose rather than a replacement. Probably about £5,000, roughly.
Yeah. What about for plasmapheresis?
Oh no, that I don't know. We did try to find out how much that was at one point in time, and it's impossible to find out the answer because of the way the coding gets done. So the reason I tried to find out is we had some patients with stiff person syndrome who we were treating with IVIG, and we wanted to give them rituximab instead. Got it. Instead of using that and plasmapheresis, and then see if there was first of all if it worked, and then also if there was a cost saving. And so I tried to find out how much it costs, but it depends on the way they do coding in the UK. It depends on all your comorbidities, changes the price. So it's not a set price for the actual treatment. It's really weird because you basically put all of these things into a sort of like a computer program, and it spits out a code at the end, and that's how much you get paid. And I can't remember how much it was, but it was maybe like £1,500 per cycle of it or something like that. But that might not be right because it's very hard to find out. Yeah,
definitely. What about for Soliris? I know it's very expensive.
Then that is really expensive. So that is about £12,000 per course, and you've got to have it every month, haven't you? So that's a lot of money.
Yeah, so basically like 12,000 times 12.
Yeah. A lot of money.
Yeah.
And we do that on home care for some of our patients. So then you can knock off 20%, which is a significant saving for that.
Yeah, that's basically 1 month free.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, that's insane. I heard a lot of complaints about that one.
And obviously for the indications where that is funded, there isn't really any other treatment. So I think it would be quite hard to justify that price for myasthenia when there's other options already available. So it might be that goes through NICE, and if NICE approve it, we have something which is called the PAS price. Yeah. Have you heard of that?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that word.
So it's PAS, Patient Access Scheme price. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before.
Patient Access price. Okay.
Yeah, so it's basically a commercial in confidence discount that is agreed between the drug company and NICE. And that allows them to approve the drug because it fits into the ceiling limit that they will set per quality. So £30,000 for standard, and it's higher for rare diseases. So they will negotiate this price, but nobody is, you can't tell anybody what it is.